the time when I decided on a whim to start this channel, Life by You's original early access release date was in September of 2024. On my second video for this channel, which I have still left up, I analyzed just a tiny bit on where I thought each of the upcoming life simulation games were at in terms of the race to release the next generation of life simulation games. And at the time, I fully intended to explore each of those upcoming life simulation games, but I guess I got distracted and I never really ended up making a video exploring those other gaming options, except for I guess like Inzoi and now Paralives. Well, today I'm going to start off by giving my take on Project Rene, and today we're just going to be scratching the surface on what's out there right now. Now, for those of you just discovering my channel and my little corner of the internet, my name is Michael, and I want to welcome you to Sovereign Gaming in Life Sims, the YouTube channel where I build worlds, lots, and share my thoughts on video games in the life simulation gaming space. When it comes to Project Rene, or what the simming community also calls The Sims 5, I guess, there's a ton of speculation out there on the web. And it is no wonder, and I think very likely, that we have all really got like the wrong impression of what Project Rene is, and if it is even The Sims 5, as there exists speculation on even that, and that Project Rene might not be The Sims 5 as we would come to think of it. Lucky for me and for us, I'm not planning to dive in on those speculations. This is also a big reason as to why I've held off on doing this video, since I strongly think and view that there are a lot of speculations and assumptions out there that are being purported as fact when it comes to Project Rene or The Sims 5. I have seen the discussion get pretty volatile and toxic on the web when discussing this game that is in development, because there are attachments to specific ideas on what Project Rene is or what those users are hoping The Sims 5 will be. Today's video is really not about criticizing the simming community for being attached to a certain speculation or for being hopeful that a certain vision will be upheld as the final product. Rather, I just want to bring it back to the basics on understanding, as best as I can deliver, the objective facts when it comes to Project Rene just based on my research. And as the title suggests, I'm just scratching the surface here when it comes to that. So how am I going to try and remain objective throughout this video? Well, that's a tough question to actually answer, since there are limited sources that give us concrete answers, but I gotta let you guys in on my thinking processes when it comes to analyzing and drawing conclusions just from my research by applying the following two standards. My first standard is the source of the information, and in this case I am looking for direct information from EA and Maxis when crediting a piece of information and citing it as being more objective rather than subjective. If the source of the information is from anyone outside of EA or Maxis, or if they're not quoting them, then I consider the information to be more subjective. That is not to say that content creators are contributing to the misunderstanding of Project Rene, as from what I have seen, content creators are pretty transparent about saying that they are adding in their own opinions or own speculations. So I'm not coming for anyone, in other words. This again is not a knock on any content creators or anyone that has really discussed Project Rene or The Sims 5 in the past or even presently. And I am also kind of doing the same thing here and now. I'm just adding in my thoughts based on my research, and I'm trying to keep it as objective as I possibly can just by returning back to the basics. And I'll share some more of that towards the end of the video so that it is a little more organized. The second standard that I also want to apply when coming across information in regards to Project Rene or The Sims 5 is really is the content of the information itself. So for example, in this case, I will be questioning whether or not the information being delivered to us about Project Rene is answering any questions directly. To me, for something to be more objective, it has to be very black and white. And if we are left to fill in the blanks, so to speak, then I would deem that piece of information a little less objective, even though it came from EA or Maxis. And you guys will see why throughout this video, because there are some really good examples of that here as I continue to do the research and to share what I think with you guys. So This second standard, again, it just might be a little harder to apply, but I'll do my best to point it out when I think that EA or Maxis is just kind of letting the players fill in the blanks with assumptions, and when they are outright telling us that there is a certain gameplay features that players can expect. I think that there is a very big difference there, and that, you know, trying to point it out and trying to just trying to point it out is a great step into trying to keep things objective. It is also very important to note that games change over time during the course of their development. And even though I may consider something objective today, it might change tomorrow, and that's just kind of the way the cookie crumbles there. Again, just by practicing like detachment and keeping an open mind, a lot of information can be easier to digest just by simply understanding that Project Rene could very well change over time up until its release. I'm kind of treating it more like a moving target here. And if I recall correctly, like The Sims 4 was very much a project that started out as an online game and then evolved into a PC single player game. So there again is another apparent example of how a game can change over time. In other words, like even by the end of the video, I'm very aware that Project Rene can change entirely even after I speak about it, and that's just part of the journey, and it's just the way that the cookie crumbles there. And let's start by actually looking at the website itself, and I kind of want to open with analyzing the following passage that I am just going to put it up on screen for you. So I'm not going to read the passage verbatim on screen, since you guys can do that yourselves, and I trust you to be able to read. But from what I gather here, Project Rene is saying that they are testing with a small group of testers. So far, I'm really not learning anything that I can not learning anything that I feel separates it from its competitors. Essentially, they're just saying that you can play with objects, customize furniture, and that sims and environments need to interact with each other to empower players with the capabilities to storytell. All of this sounds quintessential for a life simulation video game to me. So again, really not learning a whole lot from the website here, but I am going to continue analyzing it since I feel like it's a good start. And I am fully aware that it's really the videos that give us the bulk of the information about Project Rene anyways. The next couple of paragraphs, like in this passage on the website, actually does show some new features that I feel help to separate Project Rene from other upcoming life simulation games. Again, I'm not going to read them verbatim, as you can read it on screen, but from what I understand from those passages is that there is a huge PC, mobile, and online component to Project Rene. If this wasn't explained more thoroughly by the Sims team in one of the behind the Sims videos on their YouTube channel, I would have criticized the way that this feature was explained as leaving too much space for players to fill in the blanks and make assumptions, so to speak, as I explained before. But luckily, like I mentioned, like this does get explained in more depth in one of the videos, so I'm just going to keep it moving, and I will continue to analyze that information as I start to analyze some of those videos. Overall, like when looking at the EA website itself, I really wasn't able to find more information on Project Rene from the website, but where the gold is, like on my quest for objective information, really lies within the videos published by the Sims team and on their YouTube channel with their Behind the Sims series. So even like when I was actually like analyzing the website, even the web page and the blog itself directed me to the YouTube channel for more details on Project Rene. So with that said, let's just keep following the trail of information and seeing what we can learn from it objectively. So from what I was able to find and research, the first video where the Sims team formally introduced players to Project Rene was the Behind the Sims Summit. And if there are earlier publications from EA or Maxis regarding Project Rene and kind of introducing it to players, then I highly encourage you to drop your links in the comment section, as I would love to take a look at it for possibly a future video. Who knows, like I might do a commenter edition, since today I really just want to scratch the surface for the research on Project Rene, and I know for a fact that I won't have absolutely everything and anything on Project Rene from EA or Maxis, but that's kind of what I'm going for here. yeah, I'm usually always open to doing like a commentary edition for most of the videos that I do. So feel free to drop those comments and to have those conversations. But anyways, back to the video. So Lindsay Pearson, the VP of Franchise Creative for The Sims, introduced players to Project Rene in this video. And like in this summit video, they covered the different customization tools for objects. And I do have some reservations about that and what they've covered in this video, but I will save that towards the end of the video, just because this was like a really big teaser here. And what I did find very intriguing in this October 2022 video is that they showed capabilities to modify objects on the fly within the game. And they also showed how the PC game can interact with the mobile game. I think that at this point from the October 2022 video, it is safe to say that we can objectively confirm a few features with Project Rene. So the first thing is that it has a mobile and PC compatibility, and so far it is being designed with that kind of compatibility in mind. The other thing that we can confirm is that the color wheel is back, and so are patterns. We can also, another thing we can confirm is that we can adjust objects as we need them, such as converting a single bed into a double bed, a really great gameplay feature that I think is worthy of the next iteration of life simulation games, but that's just my opinion. And then also, like, it's a new thing for EA and Maxis to let us have a sneak preview on games that are years away from publishing, which I felt was interesting, but also something that we can objectively learn from EA and Maxis in this case. And since I really want to catch us all up on what we can objectively confirm with Project Rene, I will indeed analyze the next couple of Behind the Sims episodes, as that seems to be where all of the bulk of information is at. So let's carry on and let us discuss the next Behind the Sims video. So the next Behind the Sims video was released in January of 2023, so last year. And yeah, sometimes it takes me a minute or a month or three to get used to a new year and all that. But anyways, I just wanted to analyze a little bit on what Grant Rodiak had to say. So this video that was released in January of 2023 is actually an unlisted video that's really only accessible from the website, which I found to be interesting in of itself, since it has some good information on it, and I feel like it would perform better as a public release. I mean, maybe not now, just because so much time has passed, but it probably would have been worth it to make it a public video back then. But anyways, that's just me kind of probably just adding too much advice there. So what Grant Rodiak had to say in that video is that he really emphasized on playtesting, which I think is very interesting here. Like, they cover a surface level understanding of what this is, and they really didn't go in deep. And there was also like an emphasis on apartment customization. Specifically, they were using the term apartment here. And so like there's no mention of houses at this time, which again, you know, it speaks to that second standard that I was sharing with you guys before. It does leave a little bit of a blank space for us players to fill with speculations and assumptions there, but I did feel like it's important enough to mention here in this analysis is that there was an emphasis on apartment customization, not home customization or house customization. So I feel like it was very intentional that they used those kind of words there. The big deal and I guess like the highlight of this video is that they really want us to play on PC and on mobile, with the experience converging with each other with Project Rene. And there was also like an emphasis on sharing your gaming experience, and they also did confirm having a private single player experience within this video. This does leave the internet connection requirement as a bit of a blank space to fill and speculate on. So again, a gray area there as to whether or not that's the case. And also another thing as well is like whether or not we will be required to connect to a platform to play, such as the EA app, for example. They also like really emphasized that Project Rene is not an MMO. They were very careful to emphasize this, and I really I think that that actually helped to clear things up within the simming community at that time. So that was really the key takeaways that I got from the January 2023 video. So let's move on then. So the next video where they share some information on Project Rene doesn't come until about June of 2023, kind of suggests like a quarterly update, which I find to be, you know, interesting. I think fairly paced for something that's so early in development. But yeah, in this next like behind the scenes video, which was released back in June of 2023, we get Gina, the creative director, and actually various members of Project Rene to really discuss the updates surrounding it and where they were at with that project. So one of the things that we learned from that video was that there is a lighting system to create customizable spaces. Animations are also being designed to emulate how Sims feel in that moment, which I think is interesting. And there are also prototypes on what Sims do during the day and what routines they have, which I think is another very interesting point there. And then they're also trying to figure out how to model various hairstyles and also to add options to hairs like flexible coloring, which those last 2 points there I feel are just like quintessential life simulation gaming problem spaces that every life simulation has to tackle at one point or another. But my biggest takeaway from this video as it relates to Project Rene is that EA is just like showing the public where they are at in terms of development. I personally didn't really walk away with a lot of insight into what the actual gaming experience would be like with Project Rene, since it all felt like quintessential PC life simulation gaming features that nearly all life simulation games currently have, except for maybe The Sims 4 in certain retrospects there. But yeah, I didn't really learn a whole lot within this little June update, and yeah, like I think that the lighting system to create customizable spaces is something that is kind of cool. I think that that has got something to it. I would like to learn a little more about it because The Sims 3, I guess it kind of already has that in place. I don't know about The Sims 4, so I can't really speak on The Sims 4, but The Sims 3 definitely has in like small ways. I'm wondering, and this is me adding in a speculation, by the way, but yeah, I'm just kind of wondering how that lighting system to create customizable spaces will work. And so I'm just going to leave that speculation right there so that I'm not speculating too much. But yeah, I don't really have too much more to share from the June video, so let's move on to the next one. Alrighty, so in the next video, which doesn't release until September of 2023, the EA and Maxis, like they talk about Project Rene yet again in another behind the scenes video. This time, Lindsay, the VP franchise creative, really returns on screen to discuss Project Rene. Again, like cutting through some of the fluff here, like I was really able to pick up on the following more objective points about Project Rene. The first being that it is free to download. And this has opened up a lot of speculation on that to this day. They've also confirmed that Project Rene doesn't start with everything that you have in The Sims 4. So again, there's a lot of room to speculate here. And another important thing that I walked away with from the September video, and something to really heed, is that Lindsay only shared a theoretical example of having seasons in the main game. I don't think that this confirms it 100% just yet, but she just shared a theoretical example of having seasons in the main game, so, you know, theories don't really amount to confirmation of gameplay features, in my opinion. So, you know, she does actually make a really good point on that, and I will actually speak on that a little later on. And then another important point that I feel was really interesting about Project Rene is that Lindsay mentioned that The Sims 4 and Project Rene will coexist simultaneously. And again, this leaves a lot of speculation and blank spaces to fill. This whole video left a lot of blank spaces, speculations, and assumptions to really fill in the blanks here. So even though like I have shared those points of understanding with you guys here, I feel like the points that I'm sharing still open themselves up to a lot of speculation on each of those points themselves. So, you know, not as objective as I was hoping it would be. But yeah, this was the last video that was released about Project Rene, so September 2023. Knowing my luck, if by the time I release this video, there might even be a new video on Life by You. But I'm kind of talking something to existence. That probably won't happen, but we'll see. But yeah, this last video from September of 2023 really shared a lot of information on the development of Project Rene, and it just leaves a lot of room for speculation, and I really think that that's where a lot of assumptions and speculations are looking to fill the gaps in, was from the information presented in the September Behind the Sims video. And just by like reviewing the last couple of Behind the Sims videos and the website itself, like, to me, EA is giving us the very basic quintessential understandings of what Project Rene has. And even then, like, there's still a lot of questions and blanks to fill when it comes to that information, when combining it all together and taking a step back and seeing what that bigger picture is being painted as. For today, I'm going to leave the research here. Like, if you feel like I've missed anything from EA or Maxi specifically, feel free again to comment with your sources, as I am very open to covering Project Rene again in a future analysis, or perhaps even doing a commenters edition. I'm always open to that. I honestly don't think that I could have possibly found every shred of information on Project Rene out there when it comes to finding objective details. And like the title says, today I just wanted to scratch the surface. The perfect video doesn't exist, but I am totally willing to continue the discussion going forward. Now, I was very careful not to ask any questions during my analysis. Okay, maybe I wasn't perfect, but I was careful trying not to do that. Because I really wanted to try and let the objective research stand on its own without trying to fill in any of the blanks with speculations of my own. I will admit, though, that right now I am kind of coming around to weather and seasons existing in a base game, as there is a case to be made for it, being that those aspects can be expanded upon in future expansion packs and DLC within a franchise. A big drawback with seasons and weather being introduced as an expansion pack is that it's complicated to program future expansion packs that expand on those season features retroactively. Like, it's easier for everyone if weather was hard-coded in the base game and expanded upon in DLC or expansion packs, like Lindsay had described in the latest September video. So I can definitely see the benefits there, while also seeing how gaming studios could still benefit from making money in more ways than just a standalone season/weather expansion pack. So I'm kind of changing my mind on that. I used to always defend the idea of it being an expansion pack, and I do see the business case being made for both approaches there. So yeah, as you guys can see, I can even change my mind once in a while. Now, I did promise that I would share some of my own speculations and opinions on Project Rene, and I hate to disappoint you all, but for me, there's even less information for me to work with without treading dangerously into fantasy territory. Before Paralyzed released their gameplay trailer earlier in February, I was also very reluctant to share my own opinions and thoughts on Paralyzed, as I felt that I just simply didn't know enough about what the player's life simulation gaming experience will actually be, and I feel like the same can be applied here. I do think that, especially with the last Behind the Sims video being released in September, that there's just way too much speculation to be had that wouldn't serve the Simmer community any good. And the purpose of today's video is really just to scratch the surface on what we really know as fact from EA regarding Project Rene. If there is one speculation that I will share, I think that in the last video, in the September 2023 video, I felt like EA was sharing certain details about Project Rene in order to gauge what the general public's reaction would actually be to those details, and what their toughest critics, which in my opinion are really influencers who disagree with EA, would have to say upon hearing those details. Although, to get information from your player base, you could simply just send out a survey asking about options like free-to-play models or features from the Sims 4 base game that players could live without. I never got that survey if one was ever created, so this speculation of mine will likely be debunked, but I just kind of wanted to still share it with you guys anyways, as I kind of feel like there was more to that video, and it just kind of, it felt a little off that they were sharing such vague, open details about Project Rene that players would just fill with assumptions and speculations and all that. So that was just an observation that I just wanted to share with you. Another speculation that I have is just really on the delivery of details from the last video, is that they could have literally just had nothing concrete to confirm about Project Rene, and so they kind of went with a direction to share like very vague details and just to kind of tease us. But again, like these are all speculations and assumptions on my end here. But yeah, that was kind of the feeling that I got from that last video there. And one last observation that I really want to share with you guys regarding the Sims franchise as a whole is that The Sims has been rebranded right before our very eyes. And if I'm going to be honest with you, The Sims as a branch from a video gaming studio feels more like a kid's game than anything else, just by looking at the branding alone, or at least The Sims franchise as a whole is looking at Gen Alpha as part of their marketing mix. Now, the overuse of pastel palettes, the tacky comedic intonations, and the presence of new age slang vocabulary used by executive professionals in the coldest of monotones, mind you, is not only cringy, but something that I feel is blatantly indicative that EA is looking to appeal to kids and younger. Not only would I question why, first and foremost, but I would also question if that would also indicate if video games and DLC within the Sims franchise will be tailored to meet the expectations of a younger generation rather than grow with the generations that have played their Sims games. I'll leave that observation up for discussion, of course, and of course anything that I say on here is always up for discussion as well. But yeah, that was something that I wanted to share with you guys in terms of EA and Maxis and the direction that I feel like they have been going in as a company as a whole, separate from Project Rene. But I kind of want to know what you guys have to think about the information given to us regarding Project Rene. Do you feel like there are too many gaps to fill with speculations or assumptions on the gaming experience of Project Rene? Why do you think that EA is still calling it Project Rene as opposed to The Sims 5 at this point? Or is there something that I may have missed coming from EA that you would like to share in the comment section? Again, feel free to drop your comments below with your thoughts. I just kindly ask that you are respectful. And until next time, I just want to thank you for watching, and if you'd like to see more videos like this one, then feel free to like this video and consider subscribing if you haven't already. Thank you again, and I hope you have yourself a wonderful day.